Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to These Go to 11. Once again, Nathan Bell. Joining me as always, Greg Dutcher. Greg, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Dude, as the Red Baron said to Snoopy, Merry Christmas, my friend.
That's right.
One of my favorites.
That is such a great song.
Isn't it?
I've got a customized Spotify playlist for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And that is one of the songs that I have on there.
So good, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, and loosely based on that 1914? Was that the Christmas?
I don't know. Paul Jilks corrected us on it last time, so Paul, correct us again.
Paul, just tell us what day it was that in World War I, we've got the two sides that basically called a truce.
Yep.
Came out of the trenches. They exchanged like little gifts, chocolates.
Yep.
Played some soccer.
Yep.
Yes, Paul. Soccer, not football. Just kind of a truce.
Yep.
In the midst of conflict.
Yeah.
Really great little whisper of what Christmas is in its ultimate eternal sense. So, yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody, dude. We got here fast.
Did, yeah. Christmas Eve, man. Going to be a very busy day for both you and I.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. One of, this time of the year is always my favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve is just real special with, we're going to talk more about this later, but the traditions that we have and all of the things leading up to Christmas Day, Christmas morning. So really looking forward to being able to talk about some of that stuff.
Me too, man.
But we thought it would be a good idea, since we are actually dropping this on Christmas Eve, to talk a little bit about our Christmas Eve and what we'll be doing.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit of tradition. We're going to talk a little bit about schedule, what schedule we have going on. But then we're also going to, do a tie-in with the service as well. And so for those of you who are regular listeners, as you're driving in, I know I'm looking at the camera as I'm saying that. If you're driving in, don't look at the camera.
Please don't. Well, you can if you're a passenger.
That's right. But, really kind of a tie-in to what we've been talking about this Christmas season and what that all looks like. So looking forward to
Me too,
this
man.
one.
Me too. And if you're watching or listening to this on Christmas Eve 2024, and it is before 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Then please join us in person or online at one of our Christmas Eve services. Or if you're not in our area, I hope you go somewhere if you are able to, because it really is nice to make church a part of Christmas Eve. I know it's busy, but I'm telling you, I've never met somebody that came to a Christmas Eve service that really regretted it. Yeah. For some people, it might be the only time they might steal away. Because let's face it, dude, if you're not super nostalgic, you're just busy till you get to your time off from work. Then it's Christmas. Wow, I've got to take care of a couple of things. You may have not had a whole lot of reflection time, personal time at all. So Christmas Eve, going to a service where you are going to just participate, listen, sing, hopefully hear something inspiring, may be one of the only times, I'm being realistic, for some people, they get any chance to reflect. And I hope you get the chance. Yeah, no, absolutely. Greg, let's talk about the schedule today. I mean, obviously, we are not recording this on Christmas Eve. No, that would be impressive if we did.
Right.
It's the day before, or maybe days before. We won't reveal that source. We won't reveal that.
No. But I do want to talk a little bit about the schedule and the day, because this has, I can remember growing up having a very, simple view of the holidays and of Christmas, right? As a child, just the anticipation. And whatever mom and dad were doing, last minute stuff, we were kind of, in tote behind doing that. And then there was always the Christmas Eve service, and then, whatever we did in the evening, prepping for Christmas morning. I remember as I got older, work was then now involved in it. I was in some sort of retail or restaurant industry thing. And
Yeah.
so, Christmas Eve now involved work of some kind.
Yeah.
Right. And then moving from that was the Christmas Eve service, and then, kind of some of the same things. Now it's a little different, but not fully, because you are working, right? This is your full-time job as pastor, and I am volunteer working.
You are working, dude. You're just not getting a check. You're working as much as I am. There's no doubt, dude. As you and I have now historically kind of played a role,
yes,
which we've enjoyed. I don't know how that fell to us, dude. Neither of us is really directly hands-on in kids ministry,
right?
But we always do a kids element.
I think they're just like, you know what? These are two funny-looking, goofy guys.
Yes.
Let's put them on stage and see what they come up with.
They basically assume that I'm, a suitless Santa because of the fatness, the baldness, and the jolliness.
There you go. And occasionally, I'm a suited something.
Yes, dude. Sometimes, man, you're an elf. You're the Grinch.
That's right.
You are some kind of creaturely figure in the Yuletide story.
That's
so
right.
we'll have to see what it's going to be later today.
That's right.
But yeah, it is. Dude, for years now, I've thought of it as a work day. There have been a couple exceptions for me. I graduated seminary in 97. I went to Still Meadow, my first church, a month or two later. So I would have had that first working Christmas, so to speak, Christmas Eve in 97, all the way through, would have been 6 years there. And then in 2003, that was an exception. We were early on in our plant, had just maybe 25, 30 people that first Christmas, and we didn't try to pull anything off. We knew we were just a small kind of seed for a plant. We had, goals and ambitions to keep growing, and by the grace of God, we did. And so in 04, we got right back at it again, and I think 03, in other words, was my last Christmas Eve off.
With an exception.
Remind me, dude.
21.
Yes.
21.
20, yeah.
That was obviously COVID.
20. No,
20.
20. It was 20. You're right. It was
20.
We were back on
20.
in 21.
Yes.
20 was a digital.
Yes.
So that's a great point. It was the actual Christmas Eve day, which, dude, I'm gonna say, if nobody's ever seen that, maybe we can put it up somewhere in a link somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because I had very little role in it, but that was a good experience,
dude. Can I say so? Joy's grandfather and grandmother, who were both alive at that time.
Yeah.
They commented they were the most staunch conservatives in terms of you need to be in church. Right?
Yeah.
Growing up, they were in church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday evening. The old Mark Lowry joke. If the pastor was coming in to paint the windows, we were sitting in our pew watching it.
Yes, yes.
But they just commented on how lovely the service was, right? And the fact that it must have been so nice for you all, you, Matt, Stephen, to have been with your families and able to enjoy that, where on a day you would have been running around crazy, right?
Yep.
That was a day, again, because we were in COVID, you and I weren't doing anything for the children's portion of it. And really the production quality of the music, the production quality of the filming for the message and everything just came together so beautifully.
It really did. It really did. I think it's it was a privilege to be a part of it, dude. It was, kudos. I always give these guys their shout outs, Matt and Stephen Smith, father-son dynamic duo. They had a lot to do with it, particularly Stephen on the technical end, but Matt on the organizational end and filming. I think they filmed that, the worship portion, like in an 8 or 10 hour stretch.
Yeah.
Like they really did it because they wanted. They knew it was going to approximate an experience. let's face it, dude, that first COVID Christmas was tough.
Yeah.
We'd all been shut down for a year.
Yep.
At that point, or however many months, I guess 3 to 12, 9 months at that point. And I think people really missed being together, and to do that was great. And I'm going to go back and look at that. I barely remember what I preached. That wasn't what was memorable to me. I remember I was outside.
Yep.
It was
in front of this red barn type.
Yes, and I know Barb and Tom, the couple that is in Matt's extended family, graciously offered us their spot and just had a great feel. Mm-hmm. It was kind of nice to be outdoors, and it was really nice. So you're right, that was an exception, and I do remember how strange it felt to be there and to be at home with a family and watch it. Of course, that we had experienced that every Sunday for a long time during COVID. And I won't lie, while I hated not being together, there were a few moments from time to time. I said, boy, it's nice to put on a pot of coffee.
Yep.
I'm an early riser, so I always have that quiet time in the morning and make my coffee and just know the service is waiting there. Mm-hmm. So you are right, dude. But, yeah, so 03 and 2020 were the two. So, since 97, that's been quite a few. And I think there were a couple Christmases where somebody was sick. Usually one of the kids, this time of year, it's common. And one of the kids or a couple of the kids were sick, or maybe Lisa. And once or twice I wasn't feeling great. But you generally don't miss Christmas Eve unless you are in traction somewhere. You're going to be there, muscling through it. But, yeah, I love it, dude. I love the tradition of it. I love the rhythm. The only thing I'm ever sad about is they tend to be really full, big services because you have a lot of guests. But interestingly enough, it's not the moment you see the bulk of the people in your church because a lot of people travel.
That's right.
So because they're going to see their family and they're maybe they go to church where they are, or they do their own traditions. But it's still neat because you see a lot of your core.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are gone because they've got relatives all over the country or in other places in the world. But there are a lot of guests that come, which we'll talk about a little. So, it's just a fun time to be together, kind of your last stop to reflect before we eat too much, watch too much TV, to take this time to do what we're going to do today. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about the traditions, right?
Yeah.
So service is at 1 and 3. Our service is 1 and 3 today. So we'll be wrapping everything up. I would safely say probably around 5 is when we'll be locking up the doors. Yep. Everybody will be heading home. So Greg, 5:10, you're walking through the door of your house.
Yeah.
And what does a kind of traditional Christmas Eve at the Dutchers look like?
Yeah. It's been it's sad this last year and this year because Lisa's mother was kind of the anchor, the matriarch of the family, and had been for the 12 years since her husband Steve passed all those years earlier. So she was kind of the glue. Yep. It's changed a little bit. We will have some family there up until the final moments. Sometimes that's even up we're waiting to see. We've definitely made it more casual, open house. The only thing that we guard, as you know, dude, as we mentioned on the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, whenever it was, we do watch A Christmas Carol.
Yes. Yep.
Whatever we do.
Yep.
So typically we have some family over. It tends to be hors d'oeuvres, fun kind of party stuff, and punch and everything. We got the music jamming. We've got a playlist like yours that is perfectly customized. So it will not have songs on it like simply having a wonderful Christmas time. We won't have that on there because I'm a Christian. So we won't have. We'll have the classics like Santa got run over by a reindeer.
Right. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yes, those songs that glorify
the of Christmas.
Yeah, I do love that one. And dude, my Christmas cold is in full bloom here. I'm just saying, so forgive me. But so that's what we're going to do. We're going to have some family back and probably hang out a couple of hours, and then when everybody, we don't really have the old days where you're getting kids in their pajamas and doing kind of the pre-bedtime rituals.
Yeah.
Everybody just kind of stays up and chills.
Yep.
And we'll watch our movie,
Yep.
our 1984 George C.
C.
Scott
Scott.
Christmas Carol.
That's right.
And then we'll hit the sack. But Lisa and I still do put out the gifts
Yep.
when everybody goes to bed.
Yeah.
It's just we're never going to give that tradition up.
Yep.
And sometimes, I'll be honest, dude, it's a little tiring. You're like,
Yeah.
the older I've gotten, I'm like, can we just go to bed?
Right.
And the kids can help us pull them out tomorrow. And she's like, no, we got to give them the experience. What about you?
Yeah. So we'll be home a little later.
Yeah.
But not too much. And then we do appetizers.
Yep.
So in the past, pre-heart attack,
Yeah.
we would do wings and
Yeah.
pigs in a blanket and sliders and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right, all the good stuff. Post heart attack, so starting last year.
Yeah.
Still do appetizers, but in a little different way.
Yeah.
So I can do fresh seafood. So we found this nice way to prepare fresh shrimp that I can eat and sea scallops and so still appetizers, but healthier,
Yep.
more heart healthy at that point. And then George C. Scott, A Christmas Carol.
Yes,
First
dude.
thing that we put in.
Love that we have that, man.
Yeah.
I promise we didn't compare notes, everybody.
We didn't. No. that
Nathan's
was,
just a person with great instincts.
Greg, as much as I'm unregenerate for not watching Breaking Bad,
Yes.
I think this kind of makes up for it a little bit.
It does a little bit.
bit.
But no, it does. It does for sure.
But we have two Christmas carols that we watch Christmas Eve.
Oh,
so
yeah.
George C. Scott is the first one.
Yes.
And then Muppet Christmas
You do the
Carol
Muppets. I
is the
love that,
second.
dude. You get the full range of Christmas carols. Man, I love talking about that this year, by the way, too.
Oh, that
man.
was so fun
Yeah.
last week.
If you missed it, you
or
say,
not last week, but the week before.
Yeah, I'd say if you missed it, those of you watching or listening, and you're like, I don't want to hear these guys talk about Christmas Eve. If you didn't catch the Christmas Carol one,
Yeah, that equally could be a great one.
dude,
to
I
put in
love
and
that
watch.
conversation, man. I just felt like we were simpatico,
Yeah.
and we're both such nerds. We know it all so well
That's
on the
right.
lines that we were able to riff
I
easily
was going
back
to
and
say,
forth.
I think half the podcast is just us quoting the lines.
Half of it is, dude, the old Chris Farley. Dude, you remember that time, that part where Jacob Marley comes in with the chains? You're like, yeah, that was awesome. That was basically, it was remember when,
Right.
the lowest form of conversation is how we rocked it. But that's a nice tradition, dude. So you kept the same spirit, little healthier upgrade on the food choices,
Yeah.
and Joy
Yep.
owns that with you, which I love about her.
Yep. Typically at that point, we've wrapped all of the gifts to each other and, gifts that family has sent in. We've wrapped and deciphered who sent it and, got it all wrapped. So the gifts are,
Yeah.
under the tree at that point. So really kind of all that we do is stuff the stockings
Yeah.
before we go to bed. And then typically Joy will go to bed earlier than I will. So because my birthday is December 23rd,
That's right, dude.
I'm still
Happy day, late
celebrating.
birthday.
Thank
Sort
you.
of.
Thank you. That's right.
You know what I mean.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of celebrating. So
Yeah.
if certain video games that I've gotten or movies that I've gotten, like that's kind of when I will enjoy those things.
Yep.
Continue playing or watching something. So I'm usually rolling into bed between 1 and 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then because we don't have children, we're usually waking up somewhere around 9 or 10.
Nothing wrong with that, brother.
So
Nothing wrong with that. We're kind of almost there now, too.
Yeah.
I mean, when the kids were younger, they say they're excited, but they can sleep a little
Yeah.
more. I always say, guys, gifts ain't going anywhere.
that's right.
And I don't mind. I'm normally, it's hard for me to sleep past 7. 7:30 is about as late as I can go. But, dude, you know me. I covet that time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Those first hour or so.
Quiet as possible.
Well,
yeah.
and it's not that. I mean, I love being with Lisa, but I also know she's a night owl, and I
Yeah.
know she's going to be more refreshed
Right.
when she sleeps. So everybody's winning,
Yes.
And I get my new novel out and start tearing away, or I might read a little Dickens. We'll see.
That's right.
But oh yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah. So I mean that's really where and then, there's Christmas morning. So,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Christmas Eve really is as important for me growing up as Christmas Day was.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just Christmas Day was a continued celebration of everything we were doing Christmas Eve.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, that's really how we look at it is, it's not just Christmas morning, it is the Christmas season, right? And it culminates on these 2 days.
Yeah.
So,
dude, wax more eloquently about that as I move my microphone away and blow my nose.
yeah, absolutely.
How's that?
And really for Joy and I, because her family lived in Ethiopia, we actually continue to celebrate like the 12 days of Christmas, right? That culminate in Epiphany. The king's arriving.
Oh, yeah.
So we really do get the most out of this season.
Yeah.
The day after Thanksgiving is when we're going out, we're kind of setting up our decorations, picking out our tree, making sure that, we're getting ready and settled for the season and really start decorating. I mean, ideally we would, that January, 6th day, we would take down the decorations. They've definitely stayed up till like February before though.
Yeah. Dude, have you ever heard, what's the song? I think it's Taylor Swift's actual song Lover on the album Lover. I was talking about that with the kids recently. She's a great lyricist, but the one line is, we can leave the Christmas decorations up till January. I'm like, till January? You mean like everybody? Girl, you got to say February. And even a lot of people shrug like, yeah.
You're right.
Or March if you want to make it big. Right. But yeah, oh, dude, same here. Now, Matt Smith, dude.
Oh.
You know how we talk sometimes on this podcast about deconstructing faith? I'm happy to report Christmas Eve 2024, Matt Smith has not deconstructed his faith. But by December 26th, he will have deconstructed every Christmas element in his house.
That's right.
He just goes right back, gets it all done. It reminds him of the old Seinfeld bit where he says, just think of people, like he says he grew up his whole life seeing people bring in their prized Christmas tree with the care of, you're bringing in, you're bringing in your family heirlooms.
Right.
They're so carefully deposited in the unveiling. And then he says, if you're in any New York, condo complex, Brooklyn, Bronx, wherever, just stick your head out at some point, like on the 27th, 28th, 29th, and you see these, hurled Christmas trees just being thrown out like dead weight to the alleys. So yeah, we leave it up for a while. I know some families have rules. New Year's Eve, you got to have the tree down. We've never had a New Year's Eve where the tree's down, dude. It's January 8th, 10th, 15th.
Yeah.
Eventually, we need to take this thing down.
Well, and last year, so because I had the heart attack, Joy was she actually had the decorations down, I think, in January, but I do a ladder Christmas garden.
Yeah.
And we had that up, I think, well into March.
Wow, sure, dude. Why not? Dude, if you go a little bit longer, you get to the point where you're like, oh, why don't we just leave it up? At this point,
right?
I would say if you can make it to like June 10th, you might as well just leave that thing up.
Yeah.
What's the point in putting it out? Let's just let it go into the next. That's what I do with all my clocks.
That's right.
With the hours.
That's right.
But yeah, dude, let's kick around the service a little bit.
Yeah.
And what people should expect.
Yeah. So obviously, as you come in, people are going to be greeted.
Yeah.
This is a time where God shows extravagant generosity by giving His Son to us.
Yep.
And we want to reciprocate that. We want to show that generosity to others as well. And so, people coming in, you're going to be greeted. You're going to be welcomed.
Yep.
You're going to be loved on. And then, the service is a service for all ages.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. It really is.
This is the one service that we don't send kids away. Everyone stays together.
And it's shorter. It tends to be under an hour. And, we just like the idea. The only exception is the little guys.
Yep.
Which not all parents take advantage of, understandably. But, we think, well, if they want to take advantage of it, we want to give them that opportunity. The really little ones.
Yes.
But we don't have like a 4 and 5 year old kids ministry event or anything like that. Partly because we do it as part of the service, as you and I referenced earlier. We'll have to see what that is this year. We try to do something new and fresh every year, and hopefully we'll pull that off. And, it's just nice to see families together. A lot of we have a space where people can take pictures.
Yep.
We just have people out there just grab, hey, would you mind getting a shot of us?
Maybe made an appearance, and people maybe have sat on his lap taking pictures.
Yes, that may have happened.
Not just kids.
Nope, not just kids, for sure. Look, dude, it's Christmas Eve, and I'm getting texts.
From Santa?
From my kids, yeah. So that's great. Sorry, kids, it's Christmas Eve, and I'm podcasting in another dimension.
That's right.
But yeah, so we have that, and then, dude, what I find, we were talking about this before we went live, so to speak, tonight, is the balance between the traditional and the fresh.
Yes.
That we think about that with every Christmas Eve service in particular.
Yeah.
Oh, and another quick thing, dude. I know we make this point pretty regularly, but it's worth repeating. Here we are again. We do not rail on Christmas and Easter attenders.
No.
I love that they're here.
Yeah.
I love that they're here because some people may have been away from church for years.
Yeah.
And they're coming apprehensively, reluctantly, a little fear and trepidation on the arm of a friend or a relative. And maybe mom has said, oh, I'd love to have my family there. And it's hard to resist when mom wants that for Christmas. Or, you've got somebody that's flown in out of state and, hey, let's go over to the church. And maybe, I haven't been in a church in forever. Dude, I love that.
Dude, let's be real. I mean, the holidays for a lot of people are not a great time of the year.
No.
And so maybe somebody's coming in and they're hoping to receive a message of hope and comfort and peace this time of year, right? So why would we shame someone and push someone away who's coming in for that?
No, it's not a time to reward regular attenders. We're always thankful for those that love church and want to be here every week. That's not something special at Christmas. But to me, if there's still a few cultural catalysts, traditional catalysts that get people to consider going to church, and I'll nuance what you said slightly, dude. I think some people are expecting it. My favorite is to think of the people that are expecting, okay, how long is this before I can go back, get a beer, drink my holiday Sam Adams, not think about church, maybe watch a little football or, yes, exactly. What how long do I have to get through this thing? I hope that person is shockingly, pleasantly ambushed with a beautiful surprise. I really do. I pray that, dude. I've learned to pray that boldly. I say, Lord, I know there's somebody out there that is just coming kind of out of an obligatory sense of I have to. And again, Lord, would you intersect their reluctant path?
Yeah.
I think of C.S. Lewis's biography, which was what? Surprised by joy.
Yeah.
So that's something I think of as that's probably, dude, how I most would want to capture what I hope happens at a Christmas Eve service, like ours or anywhere. Surprised by joy for the person that might be far from God, far from church, or just out of the habit, that they'd hear something, experience something fresh, and that they weren't counting on. Yeah, and the few times you get that, you're like, oh, caught my. How many times, dude, have you gone to an event? You're like, oh, I don't want to go to this, and then, oh my goodness, I'm sure glad I went.
Yeah,
that's what I hope for.
Yeah,
keep talking, dude, as I continue to do my Christmas cold show. Only professional podcasters can do this.
That's right. No, but there is. That's really what we want, right? I mean, that's the heart of Christ throughout the gospel, right? Is people are hoping to get something from Christ, right? And he never turns them away, whatever they're looking for. And then they're surprised by what they end up getting from him, right? Because it's so much more than they ever could have hoped or thought.
I love that, dude. You're right. You think of the people that went, and the woman at the well, maybe I can get some water. Maybe this guy can help me. I don't know, dude. Is she thinking? She doesn't know initially who this man is. Is she? I've heard some people wonder. She's had 5 husbands. She's with a guy who's not her husband. It's the 6th. Is she thinking Jesus might be another man in her life to protect her, provide her support? Has no idea that he's going to offer her living water.
Yeah.
So she goes to the well for a mundane task. Maybe thinks she can have an interesting conversation with this guy, and then, oh my goodness, by the end of it, she's bringing her whole town to see him. Come see a man who told me everything I ever did. Dude, that to me is like, wow, what a model for what you hope Christmas Eve might be for somebody.
Right.
And if you're watching or listening and you're a follower of Jesus, I hope you'll pray. Please, we'd invite you to. We want that every time we gather.
Yeah.
But we know, this is interesting. Matt keeps me up to date on these stats, dude. 50% of your visitors, first-time visitors in the course of a year at any church are captured Christmas Eve and Easter.
Oh, wow.
Think about that, dude.
Yeah.
2 Sundays,
Yeah.
or whatever day Christmas Eve is, like this year it's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So 50% of the people, I mean, there's a few exceptions, but they follow the trends that are going to visit your church for the first time. They come on Christmas, and more come at Christmas than Easter, even, which is rather shocking.
Yeah.
So we recognize it's a unique opportunity to pray that people would be surprised by joy. Now, I also want to pray that the faithful who are here, we talked about this, dude. People like their rhythms.
Yes.
Their traditional rhythms. Yeah. So in a day and age that predates even you, Master Bell, probably Christmas 05, 06, it's long enough I can talk about it. We were at Falston High. We had a couple that was kind of helping guest serve the worship team, and they just had a novel idea that I should have been on top of. Let's make the closing song something other than Silent Night.
Wah, wah.
Dude. Why do have I learned nothing from billions of services and expectations that we can do that, and then I could almost feel the air being sucked out of the room when it wasn't a bad song. It might have been Came Upon a Midnight Clear, kind of an unusual one. It was that or something like it. Beautifully sung, and you had all the lyrics available, and people were holding their candles, but you could almost feel people saying, why are we not singing Silent Night?
Yeah.
Now, you and I both know, dude, the Bible does not command us to sing Silent Night.
Right.
The Bible never acknowledges the song Silent Night, as we've said. I think while the song has some merit, there are songs that are much more clear about the gospel, much more specific.
Right.
But that is a favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand it. So I think one of the goals that I have in a Christmas Eve service is balancing that surprise by joy thing with the understandable craving of traditions.
Yeah.
And dude, there's an Old Testament precedent for traditions, right? If you look at the Passover meals and the feast, they're cyclical. They follow a pre-written set of instructions. Things are repeated. There's a liturgy to it. So there must be something about those things that brings a comfort and a craving.
So Greg, I got a game for you. Spontaneous game, okay?
Lay it out.
I'm going to give you 3 things, and you're going to rate them in order of worst decision at Christmas time.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, so the first one is the one that you just said, right? Not singing Silent Night.
Yep.
The second one is during the Christmas season, singing Little Drummer Boy in church. And the third one is deciding not to sing any Christmas songs until Christmas Eve.
Okay, let me go from least to worst.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, dude, I'm going to put it in the order you said it.
Okay.
I'm going to say, even though that Silent Night, that was Christmas, dude, part of it is, it's just the nature of a church.
Yeah.
There's probably 8 people that were there.
Yeah.
That are still with us.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of a church, particularly in the early church plant years. It grows and people leave, new people come in.
Yeah.
So no harm, no foul. I mean, I think some people were upset at the time. I don't think we lost anybody.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful song, but you could tell people were disappointed. Then singing The Little Drummer Boy in church Where slide after slide, pa rum pa pum pum. There's 2 or 3 people I think of, dude, that are very conservative, subdued people, and I remember looking over them and just seeing them sort of like,
dude,
wow.
All that we were missing was like the little bubble ball bouncing on the words.
Yeah.
The sing along.
Dude, I told you, Jill, who used to go here, her line when I said, oh, she said, Greg, we sang. I said, I know. Was it awkward singing the pum pum? Well, yeah, that and the fact, that it never happened. I was like, oh yeah, there is that. There is that little detail. Little drummer boy didn't exist. He wasn't at the stable. Wasn't there at the manger place. Drumming his little heart
if he
out.
Was, I don't think Mary would cheerfully.
Yeah, I was going to say,
watching him strum along.
What mom that just gave birth doesn't want to hear a increasingly loud drum beat, man? Who doesn't want the Phil Collins drum solo right after giving birth? Dude, that was. I remember sitting out there. It was the old building.
Yeah.
Remember in Falston, and just being like, I'm going to have to respond to some questions on this one. I remember Lisa kind of looking at me just sort of like, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, rum-pa-pum-pum. You don't realize how foolish you feel until you're singing that with like 65-year-old adults on either side of you. That was a moment. I'll just say that, dude. And then number 1.
Yeah.
I let a certain gentleman who was leading worship at the time. It was just an idea to be original. Didn't want to do any Christmas music. Dude, aren't you shocked that I let that happen?
Yeah.
In light of what a sucker I am for the nostalgia of Christmas. Until Christmas Eve, we did music. Yeah. But I remember, dude, people were, each week. And, I made a very clear announcement that would never happen again.
Yeah.
So we make sure, and we typically do it first Sunday in Christmas or Advent, whatever you call it. We might have 1, maybe 2, and then you add a little, so that the Sunday before Christmas, it's all Christmas music. The Sunday before that one is maybe 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, however many you're singing, and then Christmas Eve, of course, is all.
Well, and even when we're not singing direct Christmas music, we are talking about how this song relates to the incarnation, and how it relates to the work that Christ is doing for us, right? So even if it's not a direct Christmas song, there is still some correlation. I remember that time, and there was no correlation with the songs. It was just kind of like...
And even, dude, if we combine kids, like a kids element, it's kind of a pageanty kid thing. Because, look, I'm the first to say, yes, the message of Little Drummer Boy is sweet and sentimental. I'm a poor boy, too, but I'll play what I have. I'll give you. Oh, I get that. It never happened. Which was that little detail I got. So next year, dude, we're going to be doing Nestor the long-eared donkey, and what I can't wait, dude. Christmas Eve, when we light the candles, and you and I do the hot.
I
and
thought
cold.
we were going to do craps for Christmas.
Yeah, no, I'm going back to like late 70s, early 80s. Remember, I'm just a heat miser. I'm number 1. Dun, 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 dun. So we'll do the hot and cold thing, right. And
Year Without Santa Claus.
Yes. So, dude, it was. That's the order for me. That was. Up there at Easter, we'll talk about the jelly beans moment. That was a whole other thing. But I am convinced, dude, God must have a sense of humor because He sees us doing our best efforts and tripping over our own feet. We really do have to rely on Him to touch somebody's heart. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, dude. So I here's what I say: we got to have plenty of, and unashamedly, unapologetically, plenty of the familiar, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's comforting. We crave it. Why do you put on a certain pair of slippers, a certain pair of shoes, a certain pair of jeans that fit you the best? And it's just our comfort zone. And I don't think that's bad, particularly when we associate those things with meaningful times. Hopefully, the message at the heart of the story that God loved us enough, He sent His Son to be born in a hostile, cruel world to save us. But at the same time, they used to say familiarity breeds contempt. Maybe that's true. I always thought familiarity breeds apathy. When you're familiar, you just don't care. You're like, I know this. I got it. Same old, same old. So that's the element I'm always looking for.
Yeah.
Where can we get a little, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different angle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to try to combine both,
Yep.
I think is our goal. And it's hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, I think that angle is really fresh. It's going to work. And people are like, well, what was that?
Right.
So, dude, that's why a diversity of presentation, whether it's a fun kids thing that engages kids and makes them feel and their parents feel like, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we came instead of doing 100 other things tonight. A spoken word that might just tell a familiar story and, wow, yeah, I like that. That's a great line, or that really arrested me.
Yep.
Just one of those, aha moments.
Yeah. Well, and to your point of really the whole thing that we see in Scripture is building community, right?
Yeah.
And when you build community, you have to have that sense of tradition, that sense of, I know what to expect to a certain extent, right?
Absolutely.
Like, this is what we do together. I mean, you build those. You're building identity is what you're doing, right? And so, regardless of what local body you find yourself in, as believers, make sure that there are those things that are building the identity, right? I mean, we could sit here and we could kind of go through an entire service, generally what we're going to see and expect in the service, but that's because that's what our identity is for Christmas Eve. That's what we've built around. And so when people come, they know what they're generally going to get. Now, specifically, they don't.
Right.
They don't know specifically what songs we're going to sing, except for Silent Night.
Right.
They do know that at the end we're going to sing Silent Night. They know that when they come, they're going to see a beautiful instrumental presentation put on by our wonderful violinists and pianists.
Dude, we're blessed, aren't we?
Yeah.
To have so many gifted people, and it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, look at them using their gifts, and other people are getting encouraged. I love it.
Yeah. And so those things become important, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're even talking about what the service is going to look like to other people, to invite them to come, which, I mean, I think the statistic is 80% of people that you invite are willing to come to a Christmas Eve service.
I think it is that, dude, or very close to it. It's certainly a lot higher than people expect, especially a personal invite. I don't mean maybe posting which is fine. Do people even have job boards anymore? At work, or a community bulletin board? Sorry, I thought it was 1987. But just a kind of an Evite blast, something about a person. Hey, if you're looking, love it if you come, and let me know because I'll look for you, or we could sit together, or
if you have kids, hey, we're our children's portion, we're going to have a gift that we're going to give them.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Most people say it's just a really nice experience. Plus, if you notice, we've really tried to adjust the times. That is a shift, dude, in the old days.
Yeah.
But I notice a lot of churches doing this have kind of recognized it's largely attended by everybody. We want multi-generational attendance, but we have a lot of families with young kids. And I'll tell you, dude, I love 1 and 3. I'll tell you why. Because it allows you to have some of those things in the evening.
Yeah.
In the early years, we did 6 and 8.
Yeah.
And you can, but dude, I remember.
It's rough.
Oh my goodness. You're not really having your little get together till 9:45.
Yeah.
Everybody clears out maybe 11:30 or 12, getting the kids to bed. And then Lisa and I staying up building some Fisher-Price monstrosity till 3:30 in the morning. Kids waking up out of bed excited at 6 in the morning. And you're like, I hate my life. That's not, ideal. So, we figure, my goodness, people that come that aren't involved in the, producing of the service, they come at 1, you leave at 2, you're back home or to your relatives at 2:30, and the whole day is before you. So, we wanted to do that because we think it's a wise way to kind of shepherd the times and rhythms most people seem to work by. It's always nice when Christmas, which it won't do this year for a couple of years, falls on a weekend because you get the double benefit of people being off. Most people, don't you find? And if you're one of those that's not, and you're working a shift today, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, thank you,
absolutely.
thank you. We know people that are working some service, retail you might be working, or emergency services, first responders, hospital settings. Thank you. But the people that aren't in those settings usually are off, or they're off early enough.
Yeah.
That they can make like a 3:00 service is
Yeah.
what we found.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't wait, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, super excited about it. Yeah, man, this has been great.
It's been fun, dude.
Yeah.
I love it to just get right in the moment, what we're trying to be about.
Yep.
And, just to make that familiar, beautiful story
Yeah.
kind of, again, strike the balance. We want it to be familiar. It's
Right.
a story to be retold, but always fresh,
Yeah.
always maybe one thing to appreciate. That's what we're hoping for this year.
Awesome. Well, we are going to go ahead and sign off because we've got to get ready for Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And so, dude, until the next time, we will have one more podcast this year.
Yep.
We are coming down the wire on
We are.
closing out 2024. So.
We are, dude. One last bash in 2024.
That's right.
And then I'm very excited about the way we're going to start the new year.
Yes, and we will get to more about that next week.
Yes.
So, my friend, until the next time, we just rock the Casbah.
Yuletide style. Nice, dude.